Welcome, welcome everyone. This is a super exciting call. This is our brand partner Q&A. So what we're going to do on this call is you can literally ask us anything about the business or being a brand partner, and we will answer your questions. We know we have a lot of burning questions on building the business, how to get paid, and so much more, or even just like tips and tricks. And we're happy to answer. There's going to be a few of us on tonight. And if you don't know me, I'm Tracy Black, super excited to be here. And I'm going to kick it off because I know we've got a really important question that I feel like, especially those of you who are newer to building, I feel like this is something that gets asked quite a bit, and it's how to get paid. So I wanted to make sure you all know this, and I'm going to type the URL into the chat box in just a minute, but Young Living has a compensation plan, and you can find that on the Young Living website. And I know sometimes when you look at it, it's like, oh my goodness, it seems kind of overwhelming, but it's actually quite simple, and they've really simplified it. So what it is, when you enroll someone as a customer, you get paid on the first 3 months of that customer, you get paid 25%. And that's called the Fast Start bonus. And what's really cool about that is, someone signs up, right? And they spend $200 that first month, you're earning $50, right? In month 2, maybe they spend $100, you're earning $25. You're earning that 25% for that first 3 months. So Young Living is really compensating us to really lean in and to help our customers. When customers first start ordering, they're really excited about the products. And so I love that Young Living does this. They really sort of pay us very generously to lean in with our customers to make sure that they know how to use things, right? Talk to them about subscription, talk to them about, creating a wellness plan, or help them sort of meet their needs to figure out what are they looking to swap out. As you know, Young Living has so many different products. So showing them the breadth of products that Young Living has is a really great thing to do. So 25% you get paid on the first 3 months. Now, starting in that 4th month, what you're going to do is you're going to get paid what's called uni-level commissions. And that's what you're going to get paid on your customers from the 4th month and moving on. So depending on where you place those customers in your organization, let's say they sit right at your level 1, you're going to earn 8%. So you'll earn 4 to 8%, just depending on how deep you put them in your organization. So again, really cool. You're always going to earn that 4 to 8% on those customers starting in month 4 going on. The other really cool thing about Fast Start is, let's say you enrolled someone, they're really excited, right? I see Kathy on here. Let's say I enroll Kathy, right? She gets really excited, and then she enrolls Linda. What's great about that is not only is Kathy earning that 25%, but because I enrolled Kathy, right? I'm going to earn 10% on Linda's order as well. So anybody that you personally enroll, when they enroll someone, right, you're also earning 10%, right, on the first 3 months, just like they'll be earning 25% on the first 3 months. And then after that, starting in that 4th month, you'll be earning on their enrolled, again, uni-level commissions. So just a really great thing that we're getting from Young Living, right? We are getting compensated to not only share, but also not only are we earning based on people that we are sharing with, but also who they are sharing with. So it's really awesome. In addition to that, like I said, uni-level commissions, that 4 to 8%, awesome thing. So that's basically how we get paid. And that's going to apply for the ranks of associate. So when you first get started and you become a brand partner, you are an associate, all the way through the rank of executive. Now, after executive, this is why we are striving to help everybody here to be a silver and above, because once you hit the rank of silver, you're going to be earning even more commissions. So like commissions, they're called generation commissions, where it goes even deeper into your organization. So meaning, you could be earning on your 6th and 7th level. Once you hit diamond, you'll also be earning a diamond leadership bonus. So definitely as you rank up, you're getting paid another level deeper. So there is definitely a benefit to ranking up. And again, another reason why we really want to help everybody reach that silver level. You'll notice there's going to be a big jump between, at least it was for me, from an executive paycheck to a silver paycheck. paycheck. So definitely makes it all the worthwhile. In addition to that, just sort of on the compensation, some other perks that you get, right, in addition to getting paid, is once you hit the silver level, you're going to qualify for a leadership retreat. So we had several members of our team this year who were able to go to like a gold retreat. So there's a silver retreat, a gold retreat, a platinum retreat. I see Miss Jen on here, and she just hit the rank of platinum, and she's going to be going on the platinum retreat. It's so exciting, right? And then once you hit the rank of diamond, you're going to go on a retreat every single year. And they do it in so many beautiful places. In 2022, they're going to be doing it in Maui. So just amazing places and amazing perks that you get, again, from the business and from raking up. So just additional perks, right? And when you sort of add up the value of, all expense paid trip, right? Going to the farm, going to a 5-star hotel, all the food included. I mean, it really adds up, and it's just another perk in the compensation plan. So if you have any other questions about the comp plan, please feel free to ask me in the comment box. I'm happy to answer. I can even share a graphic with you later, but that's basically it. Unless I'm missing anything. Am I missing anything on how you get paid, you guys? It's so simple these days. Okay, good. Love it. Just be sure to get paid. This is something I want everyone to make sure you need to be a brand partner. So you have to have a brand partner account in order to get paid. So for anybody who's been with us for a while, maybe you're just starting to enroll new customers, right? A customer, if they enroll someone, will not get paid. It is possible for customers to share their link and to enroll, but they'll need to convert their account to brand partner before they actually get that payout. So I believe it needs to be done within the same calendar month. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it needs to be done at least within that same time period. Okay. All right, so I know we have some other questions, and I'd love to feature our other leaders too. I see Jen on here. Jen, would you like to jump in and answer a question? Or tell us, you guys, if you have a question, type in the comment box, because we're here to help you live too. We did get some submissions ahead of time. But Jen, we have a few, like how to communicate with my team. Should I start my own group? Is there a place I can get graphics, or do I need to make my own? We had some really good questions come in. And then how to rank up.
Okay. So I think I can speak from someone that created a Facebook group way too early on and saying, don't create your own Facebook group. I would say at least until silver, but there's so many silvers and golds and even a platinum on my team that don't have their own Facebook group. And the reason being is it's just a lot easier to all be in one place so that everyone's not having to rely on themselves to create content. Because when you create your own group and you pull your members into this one area, then the burden of educating them is on you every single day. And when you aren't educating every single day, then your team isn't seeing it, and the algorithm of your group is going down, and the engagement is going down, and this just doesn't equal good things for your business. And I'm saying that from experience. I started a group when I was a senior star, and I was really just looking for a way to communicate with my team and do giveaways and things like that. But in hindsight, hindsight's always 2020. There are so many amazing ways that we can communicate with our team. Project Broadcast is a really, really good one, you guys. I have noticed that not a lot of people respond to emails or they don't even see the emails. Like sometimes they end up in spam or that promotions folder that Google has now. But Project Broadcast is definitely worth the investment. It's very cheap, honestly, especially if you have a smaller team. That's a great way to reach out to people. Like Tracy said, you get way more engagement via text than email. But also think about where your people are. So the majority of my team is on Instagram, and they've either signed up with someone through Instagram or they just prefer Instagram to Facebook. So when you're thinking about the ways that you can communicate with your team, ask yourself, where is my team? Where am I already talking with my team the most? And make sure you're sharing there. I always think that Project Broadcast is like for sure 100% a way that you could be communicating. But if you're looking for secondary places to communicate, just think of where your team is. If most of your team is on Facebook and sees things on Facebook, then go there. If they are on Instagram, go there. And then obviously, like, in-person communication is really the best way that we can communicate with our teams. I know a lot of us don't have local teams, but if you do, be strategic about when you're talking about things or when you're getting together with people on your team. But that kind of turned into a long tangent, but I would not create your own Facebook group until you're at least a silver or above. And honestly, if you never have to, don't do it. If what you have with your upline is not broken, don't fix it, because I'm now at the point in my group that it is so nice. Like, people that join the group have no idea that it's my group, that I like started it, because we just have so many leaders in there continuing to educate and contribute and add value there, that that's kind of like the whole point of all of it. So you don't want that burden on you. It's not fun. And for the longest time, I regretted it like every single day of my life. But now we're finally at a point where it's a really good working relationship with all of my silvers and golds and platinums, that it works. That's a good way for us to communicate now. But I would say, if you're thinking about it, push people into your upline groups and find other ways that you can communicate with them. So just my 2 cents.
That was so good. I wholeheartedly agree. And just wanted to add, like, exactly what Jen said, like, project broadcast to cover your bases. You can always send an email through the virtual office. And then, like she said, where are your people? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Maybe they're in person. But I love how she's talking about multiple ways of communicating with people, right? So if they happen to not see you on Instagram, then they'll get the text. Or if they don't get the text, then they'll see it on social media. So love that. Such good advice. Okay, Christina Taff, who's our amazing gold leader, is going to take the question on graphics. Should I create my own graphics, or is there a place where I can find graphics? Go ahead, girl.
Hey, okay. So the answer to that, really short answer, no, don't make your own graphics. um, there are so many talented people. Now, if that's your thing, like, you know how to do graphic design and already have all the software on your computer and you know how to do it and you're creative, go for it if that's what you love. But if you're like me and I don't have any clue other than just with my phone, I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. We are provided so many good graphics by our upline. Tracy gives us really pretty ones. And just like, don't reinvent the wheel, right? Like, there's enough that we have to do every day. So creating graphics is not something we call an IPA or an income producing activity. Like, spend your time reaching out to your people, connecting with them, and don't worry about making a perfect graphic. I will say, so Tracy provides us amazing ones. There are plenty of other also just like floating around on Facebook, and like other crossline, they'll create amazing graphics and say, yeah, sure, share with Team Weil. So you can find those groups. I think there's like a grow group, and there's some other groups that are just like Team IL, and you can go in and find a lot of advice, and some people have really pretty graphics in there, and it's not like competition, it's just everybody giving what they want to share and all that, and those are great too. But honestly, like, I get everything I need from Tracy, and it's never not served me well. So I won't do that. Now, if you want something personal, like personalized, I still am old school. Maybe there's something new, but years ago, I learned about this app called Word Swag, and I can literally take it's like Word Swag, free app. I don't even think you have to pay anything for it, and you can literally, they give you their like template pictures and graphics, but you can also upload your own picture. So you could like upload a picture of your face smiling, like a selfie or something. Are you with your kids? Are you with an oil or whatever, a bottle of Ninja? And if you want to write graphics, like write something on it, then in a pretty hot pink color or whatever, you can do that really easily in that app. It's very user friendly. It takes you no time. I'm talking like, if you wanted to go to that trouble and it's not going to take you more than a couple of minutes to do it, that's great, but don't spend more than that on it. So basically, no. Yeah. Tracy says Word Swag, Canva, Canva and Over are all great apps. So yeah, those are really good. Life Steps. Yeah, that's a really good one too. Life Steps has some, I really like the Life Steps app. Life Steps has a lot. So there's a free version and then there's a paid version. And Life Steps does have some really good graphics too that you can take from and pull from. And since if you're paying for that, then they're yours to keep to use how you want. And you can text those to your team, all that. Yeah, someone says Oily Revolution Design is really good. And I've used those in the past too. Again, I think you still have to pay. Is what the paid version. So the paid version is the Life Steps app, Phyllis. There's a free version for Life Steps, and then there's a paid version. And the paid version is more if you're wanting to build a business, if you're a brand partner. Yeah, Oil Revolution Design has some really pretty ones too. So, would anybody else add anything? Tracy, Jen?
I'm with you, girl. Like, I sometimes enjoy doing it, but you know what I have to ask myself is like, is this getting me paid or should I be prospecting? That's always what I ask myself, because it's easy to like do busy work and you think like you're doing something for your business, but I'm like, will this graphic get me paid? No, it's not. Does somebody else already have a graphic I can use, right? In the Grow Group, in Life Steps, maybe within my own team, crossline, upline. Here's the other thing why we encourage you to have accountability partners. Guess what? You're just expanding your resource network. So I will tell you, I have accountability partners that I've had in the past, like we're still friends, we're in each other's groups, and I'll just say, can I borrow those graphics? Those are amazing. And they go, yes, go for it. So just FYI, especially to my own team, probably 90% of the graphics I share are not mine. So, it's just one of those things. You got to be resourceful. And that might just be a nice question to ask yourself. Is me making this graphic going to get me paid? Because if not, then I'm not doing it. Let me find something that's already done. But I personally do love the Life Steps Pro. Has more graphics, but even the free version has a ton. Jess is asking a really good question. If you could only choose one, would you do MyYL or Life Steps Pro? Ooh, this is really good. For those of you who have both, can you type in the chat box and tell me? So this is really hard, and I'll tell you why. They're very different apps. Life Steps Pro has a ton of like graphics and photos. And if those are the things that you really love, then I would say do it. The other thing Life Steps Pro has is a lot of business training. So if you're someone who maybe you prefer to train like in an app versus like in a Facebook group, right? Or maybe an Instagram channel, then that might work better for you, because there are lots of great business training videos in there that you can watch. The other thing is I think it has more features, like you can like text and email and do different things. I don't exactly remember the difference between the free and the pro. You also in the pro get a personal website. So with MyYL, you also get a personal website and you can create bundles. So for instance, I can create a bundle of skincare products, put it all in one bundle and send that link to a friend or post on social media. So they both offer the personalized website, but I personally just feel like Life Steps Pro has a ton more content and photos and graphics features, like that kind of thing. So, but again, if you're not sure, just start with the Life Steps free version, go from there, and then see if you feel like you need to have that in the future. I also really like MyYL. I will tell you, I have come up, and I would love to hear from you guys. I have come up with a couple of, how would I say this? Like limitations. And I feel like this is something that's going to improve as time goes on. But one limitation that I found with MyYL, like a real world example, is quantities. I had a friend and I created a bundle for her. She wanted like RC and Thieves and all these other things, but she wanted like 3 bottles of Thieves. But in the bundle, it wouldn't allow her to put 3 bottles. So I was going through it with her and she was getting frustrated. And I was like, okay, here's just my regular YL link, the one that you get right from your Young Living account. And I said, here's the list of products, just do a search for them, add it to your cart, go check out. And that worked better for her. So I think there might be real world cases where you may not use the MyYL bundle and other cases where you might. So it's hard for me to say which one to do. But I would say definitely use LifeSteps free version. And you know what, you guys, these are all cool tools that many of us who've been building for, 5+ years, we never had. We had this really long wonky URL. We could only get them to start up with the starter kit. We had no options whatsoever. So I think it's nice that we have so many options now, but you, I think, need to figure out what works better for you and your, case uses, right, with your people. How much is LifeSteps Pro? I'm sorry, Jen, you were going to go. I think it's about $8 or $9. Go ahead, Jen.
I was just going to say, so from like a business perspective, you guys, if you are looking to grow your business, whether it's in person or online, MyYL is really good. It does make it easier. It does obviously have its issues like Tracy talked about, but overall it has made getting people to sign up so much easier, you guys. And the other thing I want you guys to think about before you like spend your money on all of the things is most of this education, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of the education you're going to see in our Facebook groups, a lot of that content is coming from LifeSteps Pro. So you do have access to it. You just might not fully realize it. Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of the video trainings and whatnot that you'll get from LifeSteps Pro, but a lot of the content, actual education on like supplements and oil spotlights and things like that, you are getting in the group. So just know that you can repurpose that information and use it how you need. That's why we pay for those things to provide that content to you. So I'm just saying from like a building the foundation for your business perspective, I do think that having MyYL is really, really great. And it does simplify the process a lot. So just something to think about, but like Tracy said, just use the free version for a while and kind of see how you like it. And maybe start with MyYL and go from there. And maybe you can switch and get rid of it if it's not really serving you and use that money for LifeSteps Pro, but just a perspective.
That was so good. And yeah, I think it's with anything that you're paying for. I think it's just is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Like, are you using it? Are you getting value from it? Are you getting signups, or are you able to communicate with your prospects or your members with it? Like, I will tell you, sometimes I go through a season where I'm using things and then I'm in another season where maybe I'm not using it. So it's just one of those things where you as a business leader need to constantly assess and see what you're using, what you're not. I will say, of all the things that we've talked about tonight, by far my favorite app to use is Project Broadcast. But I was even talking to a builder this morning. I was like, I didn't have Project Broadcast until I was a platinum. I was hand texting like hundreds of people a day. So, it's just one of those things. I think Project Broadcast is a very good tool as well. But here's the thing, in LifeSteps Pro, you can also text and email people out of the app. So if you're not quite ready for Project Broadcast, then that's another option. Okay, so we had a really good question from Ashley. She said, I met someone yesterday who uses Young Living, but doesn't want to do the business because she has sort of a negative view on MLMs. I feel like people I know have this. How do you help them get over it? So I will tell you, I totally was in the same boat as this. As soon as I knew that it was like an MLM, I'm like, no, not doing it. In fact, my enroller was like, do you think you might want to do this? I'm like, hell no, I do not want to do this, because I had this negative connotation in my head of what an MLM was. But she said these words that just really made me switch my thinking. And it's like a referral program. And I'm like, oh, that's it? It's just like a referral program? Yes, it's like a referral program. And that really helped me to understand that I refer things all the time, whether it's Instacart or Amazon or anything, right? We refer things all the time. Most of the time we don't get paid on it. A pair of yoga pants, a rug, a curtain, a TV show. So I think just kind of keeping that in mind, that really what it is it's a referral program, right? And Young Living really is so different than anything else out there. I've not done another MLM personally, but from what I understand, so many of them are very focused on business versus the product. Young Living is so focused on the product and the farms and seed to seal. Like, it really is a very different experience. Even going to convention, just the energy, like it really feels like, oh my goodness, everybody is just coming together, this collective of, we love the product so much. It's not like everybody's going to be a millionaire next year. It's not that energy at all. It's so different than what I've seen with other MLMs. And really, I think you share your own experience. Like, what have you felt that's been so different? Like, I can tell you some of the things that I feel. Community, right? I feel like I found my tribe. I feel that, I'm finally getting that compensation for referring things that I truly love. And so I feel like you leverage your own story and share that with other people and get to know, I feel like, the stories of other people in your organization as well, whether it's your cross-line friends, your upline friends, get to know their stories. But I used to work in the corporate world, and let me tell you, I am not going back to that. I will tell you, okay, you go back to your friend who has this negative connotation about MLMs. I have never, in all my years of being with Young Living, I've been with them for 8 years, is with everything going on right now, I am so grateful to have my own business where nobody is telling me what I need to do or how to do it, right? Or, when to report to work or when I can go on vacation. Like, the freedom to be able to work when I want, to be home with my children and with my family and to maximize that time. The freedom to not have an income ceiling. I remember getting so frustrated when it's like, you reach the top of your pay grade. Like, what's up with that? Why can't I make more if I'm performing well, right? You don't get, with network marketing, it's all performance based. It's all on you. So many amazing reasons. We actually have some really good posts on the benefits of a Young Living business that I'm happy to share and repost to you. But Christina or Jen, I don't know if, do you have anything else to add on that with negative connotation with MLMs?
I was just going to add that, I mean, that was amazing, everything that you said there, but I just, coming from a person that felt the same way too, like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be salesy. And if you're coming from a place of being genuine, and you're not going to change people's mind overnight, for sure. Like, there's really probably, if someone feels that way, there's really probably not a whole lot you're going to be able to say to change their mind. Honestly, it's going to be them watching you the next few years, because typically people that give MLMs a bad rep are the ones that jump from business to business, the ones that aren't consistent, the ones that say they absolutely love every product, and like, you just don't feel genuineness from them. You don't feel like that they are there to be your friend. They are there to make a sell, and they're not building a relationship with you. You can tell the people who are not in it, who are just in it to make it to the top, not the people who are in it to actually care about you. And whenever they see that you're different and that you actually care about them, and hey, if they're not interested in your products right now, no big deal. You're still going to be successful at this. And eventually they're going to watch you and they'll come around. In fact, I actually had a friend who the top of her Instagram page says, "Please don't message me about your MLM." Literally is what it says, because she cannot stand, whatever the stigma that comes with this. But I did, because she was had asked before about some thieves cleaners. She posted in a mom's group that we're in locally together about, I need something non-toxic to clean my kid's bathroom with. And it just so happened that like the thieves cleaner was on sale big that day. And it was like, I don't remember, but it was like ridiculously cheap. It would have worked out so good for her. And I was like, but the thing is I had built a relationship with her ahead of time, and I felt like it was just prime time for me to ask her. And I said, "Hey, by the way, this Thieves is on sale. I know you're not a big fan of Young Living, but I mean, it's the best cleaner ever. And it would be this much a bottle." And she actually bought, and she bought again and again for me. And she's like swore off MLMs forever. So that is just maybe a quick story about being consistent, being genuine, not being in it for the sale. And you'll slowly start to see people change their tune because of you. So
Yeah, Christina, I was just about to say that. Like, you guys, I think like 4 or 5% of people in Young Living do the business. So if they don't want to, like, they don't have to. That's like the beauty of Young Living. There's absolutely no requirement to do that. And it's nice that we have customers versus brand partners now. And like Christina said, don't push people to do it. Just allow them to watch you do this with integrity. And then your actions can show people that most people in Young Living don't do this in a slimy MLM kind of stigma way. And then a lot of people will, that's just like, they'll naturally be attracted to that. I have so many builders on my team or brand partners now that, I mean, I never really even mentioned the business to them, or they said they weren't, people that sign up and they're like, but I don't want to do the business. And I'm like, I didn't ask you to. And then they kind of come around on their own, you guys, because they start to have their own personal, like very positive experiences, and they share it with someone else. And then those people do, and they're like, wow, this feels really good. Like, I want to keep having that feeling where it's nice to help people and have people come to you with these wins for their family. I mean, that feels good. And it's honestly kind of an addicting feeling. You're like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is the best ever. So like, allow that to happen naturally for people. I think the more you push the business on people, the more that MLM stigma comes out. So just allow them to watch you do it with integrity. And if it's for them, they'll come around, I promise.
I love what you ladies said, like show, but you don't have to tell, right? Like, you show what you're doing. They follow you on social media. They see what you're doing and they're like, that's it. You're just sharing. It seems so easy, so genuine, so natural. And that is such a great example to show people. Thank you so much, ladies. That was so good. Okay, Allison has a question. How do you start communicating more with your team that you haven't been with lately? So she's saying that her team is a little small, so it shouldn't be difficult to send a text, but she's sort of struggling with what's sort of like the right thing to do. So I will tell you, girl, personally, I feel like you could just send them a text and just say, hey, I know it's been a while, just wanted to check in to see how you're doing. Is there anything I can help you with? Like, I think just direct, conversational, really easy, and then go. For me personally, again, Jen said it earlier with Project Broadcast, I have developed such great relationships with people through Project Broadcast. But something that I always make sure I do is I ask them, like, do you want to get my weekly oil tips, right? And I can do that through Project Broadcast, or you could do that with Life Steps. But the regular communication for me, like just letting them know, like, hey, I just wanted to make sure, is it okay if I start sending you weekly texts just so that you know how to use your products? I would say 9 out of 10 times they say yes. So I would just start doing it and then get into the habit of like sending them a message regularly. The other thing is, I think what's really important is to give lots of value. So you don't want every communication from you to be like, there's a sale, buy this now, I'm doing a giveaway, right? Because then it's all about you. I think it's really important to give, like, most of your communications with people be about value. So here's a diffuser recipe. I was thinking about you and thought you might really like this. Which one are you going to try? Or, we're doing an oil of the month. We're focusing on thieves. I thought of you because you had talked to me before about, immune support. So, just giving lots of value, I think, is going to be really good. But yeah, for me personally, with my team, I send emails, but like Jen said, probably 80% of my communication, like engagement with the team, is through Project Broadcast versus email. But I like to send the email just in case that one person doesn't get it through text, they can still get the email. So thanks for asking, Allison.
I will say that one thing, you guys, I didn't start using Project Broadcast till I was a gold. And at that point, my team was pretty large, and that's hard. So if you can get into the habit of using that early on, it's going to serve your team for honestly years. But the other thing is I've kind of gone through like ebbs and flows with how I use Project Broadcast, but there's absolutely times that it's been a while and I feel like a really big jerk. And it's honestly so hard to like hit that send button because you're like, oh gosh, like it probably looks a lot worse like in your mind than it actually does in real life. And I have found that it makes it a lot easier to press the send button and get people to actually be receptive to it when I just take ownership of that. Like, I will honestly just be like, I'm so sorry. It's been a while. I feel awful. Like, I'm such a jerk, or, like, honestly, like, I'm just being honest. And I'm like, life kind of got away with me. And I hate that because like, I love being on a personal level with everyone. Like, that is like truly who I am. So I just take ownership of that and I apologize. And then I say, like, I want to get back into, using weekly texts. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. I'm here to help. Like, you can respond at any point and ask me questions, but I honestly have found a lot of value in just taking ownership of it. And it honestly makes hitting send so much easier. So kind of just use language that you would use in person, honestly. Because that's what people want, they just want a real person to talk to. So it might make it easier just putting that out there.
I will add one more thing that I think is really important in whatever communication tool that you use. So in the beginning, there was no project broadcast. I don't even know how reliable email was back then. I would message people like on Messenger. But something that I think happens a lot with text is we send out, send out, send out. Like when they respond to you, right? Make sure you respond back, because I want people to know it's a real person. It's actually one of the reasons why I personally haven't had an assistant take over my project broadcast or my texting. I know many people have and had really good success with it, but I just really like to get to know people on a deeper level. So when I send a text, they message me back. I go, oh, that's a good one. So for instance, it'll be, which diffuser recipe do you want to try? And they'll tell me, and I'll be like, oh, that's a good one. What I'm going to do is, and I'll kind of keep the conversation, and we go back and forth like tit for tat. So they know it's not a bot. It's a real person. It's not just, one-way communication where they're just getting messages from me. I'm going to do the same thing through email. If I get an email response back, I try to do that too, but primarily it's through text. What other questions do you guys have? I think we've gone through everything in the chat box here, but tell us what else you want to know. This is so good. What about Christina and Jen? Is there anything that comes up like from a new builder, questions that they may ask you, like how do I XYZ? What are some common questions that you're hearing from newer people who are getting started?
I think I get questions mostly from people like, how do I get started? What do I do? I think I get this question the most, like, hey, I'm interested in doing this business. What do I need to do? And I feel like my answer changes a lot. And this is just what I've said recently in the past. And I feel like it's helped people. But then sometimes again, I'm like, well, I can't do the work for you, right? So the thing that I usually say the most to people is whenever I get this question, like, how do I get started selling oils and sharing oils with people? And I ask them, what's your favorite way to communicate with people? Do you feel like you are better on social media? Do you like to be on Instagram and like to do stories and reels and all of that? Do you like to communicate that way? Are you better on Facebook? Are you better in person? One-on-ones? Are you better in front in a like in-person class? Find your niche. And if you have to try all of them to see. And it's always changing for me. We started out doing classes, but to get people to classes, I posted on social media. So I posted on social media to pique people's interest. And then I held classes, enrolled people that way. And now here lately, it's mostly just building relationships in social media, in person, and enrolling that way, building relationships. And so but I have so many people ask me all the time, like, well, how do I even start that? What do I do? And so I kind of walk through them, just like what you guys have seen as post and gather and dwell. Like, what does it look like to post on social media? And we've done tons of calls on that. We've talked about social media posting and how to do that. We've talked about how to do a class, how to do a one-on-one. So all of that is there for us, just to refresh our memory if we need to. But I also like to tell people, to get started though, like to really just get your feet wet, who are some of your closest friends and family? Like, I don't know, maybe you just got these oils and you fell in love with lavender and frankincense on your face at night and you slept so good and your skin looks beautiful and radiant, and you know that your mom and your sister would absolutely love this. And that's how it started for me. All I did was just share with my sister-in-law, and I told her, hey, if you buy the kit, which back then you had to buy a kit to get started, I was like, I'll give you half of my my commissions, which would be $25 to her. And she got a kit and I gave it to her, and then it just like kind of snowballed. And so I tell that to people. That's my answer to them whenever they ask, how do I get started? Just share it with your mom, with your friends, whoever, your mother-in-law, your closest friends, and then just kind of see where it goes from there. I don't know Do y'all have any other, what do you say to people whenever they ask you how they get started? How should they get started?
Yeah, I say the same thing is like start with your own friends and family. I just feel like that is low hanging fruit because here's the thing, you've already recommended something to them before, right? I'm sure you told them about the latest Netflix movie, right? Or like athleisure wear, like that's my big thing. Maybe for you it's something else, right? But or shoes, right? Hairstylists. You've already started recommending things to people. So why not start recommending Young Living? So I feel like that is the perfect place to start is with friends and family. And I agree with you. I also suggest like no matter where you've been with social media, whether it's I haven't posted in a while or I'm always on it and love using it, I personally feel like social media is such an amazing place to be sharing, especially because you're so excited in the beginning. So it's like the unboxing, look at this, and you're showing the tutorials. Just thinking for myself personally and what I recommend to other people, I think the showing makes a really big difference. Like I'm not just telling you to buy it. I'm going to show you. Let me show you how I put this thieves cleaner in my mop and use it on my new floors. Let me show you how I'm adding these oils to my diffuser and how I use it to replace candles. Like little videos or photos. I feel like that is such a great way. And then doing it consistently, like showing consistently on social media how you're doing these things, I think is really important. But I feel like you already have so many friends and family, like you easily have 100 people in your network. I didn't think I did. I had to really write this out. I'm like, I don't know if I know 100 people, but we most of us do. And it's just a perfect place to start from there. Jen, do you have anything to add?
Um, Everything that they said is exactly what I do too. The only thing I want to add, you guys, is get into the habit of just listening to people. Listen to their pain points, listen to the things that they're struggling with. And something that's always really served me well is using language like if I and would you. So if like in the beginning, my grandma has COPD, obviously I'm not treating, diagnosing, curing her, anything like that. But I would say things to people like, if I made you a roller, would you use it? And with zero expectations of anything in return, you guys, I'm really just trying to get products in people's hands so that they can have the same kind of experience that I have had using oils and Young Living products in my life. So, just listen for people's pain points. If someone's kid is sick, say, if I made you a roller and dropped it off, would you use it? I have never had anyone say no, you guys. And probably 97% of people that I've done that for are members on my team now. So I think if you just get into the habit of listening for those pain points and truly trying to serve and help people and do things genuinely from your heart, it's really going to work out for your business. So just the if I would you kind of language, I think it'll serve you really well.
I love it. That's so good. I think it's really important to remember that, like looking or, really being cognizant of people's needs. I mean, think about so many needs that you're seeing on Facebook right now. I'm feeling this. I feel crappy, or this is going on. Like people tell you their feelings and what's going on with them. Like there's such an opportunity there to help so much with that. So that's such great advice. Angie is asking, what's your opinion on a customer who doesn't want to build, but she has friends and family who want to buy Young Living products? Do I have her use my referral, or, what can I do? Because she feels like, should I be doing that? Well, here's the thing. If you have a customer on your team who is very firm on not building, something that you could do is maybe you give her sort of like a referral gift, right? For every person that she refers over to you and uses your link because she doesn't want to build, maybe you give her a $10 product credit or a roller bottle or an oil from your stash or something. Like you could give her a gift. You could even stack it on, like send 5 people over to me, and if they each spend $100, right, that's 500 and OGV, I'll get you a diffuser. I mean, there's so many different things that you could do or work out with her. We've even had some people who do things like this, kind of like a hostess party, right? And the hostess themselves could upgrade to brand partner and grab those commissions. But if they didn't want to, right, maybe they just want to have fun and want to give you the referral. Maybe you give them some kind of a gift or a product credit or something, but you can absolutely do that. I think the important thing is just being really upfront about what that looks like. But I'm telling you, especially for your customers who are like, nope, don't want to build, this is a fantastic opportunity to build that kind of mutually beneficial relationship with them.
Okay, there's one question I see that I wanted to answer. It says, how to walk the line between following up with people and harassing. I don't want them to feel forgotten, but if they aren't responding, how often is too often to follow up? Okay, so this is something just like the text messages of taking ownership, of, not reaching out. This is the same kind of concept in my opinion. And I think that it has served me well. I always put the blame back on myself because typically it is my fault. I am like, if you're friends with me in real life, I am so bad at like reading a text message on my watch and then forgetting to actually respond in person. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, oh gosh, I'm the worst. Like, this is so awkward now. So that's how I am. So same thing with following up with people. I will message them and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel like such a jerk. I don't want you to feel like I forgot about you. Life kind of got away from me, but I just want you to know I'm here. If you have any questions, did you have any questions about signing up or specifically about any certain products? Let me know, like I'm here. And that always usually opens the door to the conversation without it feeling awkward or like pressuring anybody. And honestly, if you've done that a few times, people know where to find you. That's basically their way of saying no, and they don't want to just come out and say that. So just know that you can do that in a way that doesn't feel awkward and slimy. And typically if you're putting that back on yourself, it's a really good way to do that. At least in my 4 years with this, but, most of the time, if people are not responding after me doing that a few times, like I'm going to get the hint and I'm not going to be that kind of sleazy kind of person, but they know where to find me. And I'll usually send like kind of a last message, like, okay, like if you do think of anything, I'm always here to answer your questions anytime you want. And I mean, sometimes it takes people like 2 years sometimes, and it's okay, you guys, it's totally normal. Just know it's totally normal to have people that come around years later from like the first time that they asked you a question. But Christina or Tracy might do it different. That's just kind of just how I go about with following up.
I was going to add one more thing. So we just had Black Friday, right? So there's a lot of communications going that I sent out a lot of communications around that. And then we have this, we're still in this 30% off sale, right? So I literally sent a message just like this. I sent a text message and this is how I opened. I was debating whether to send this to you or not, but I decided what the heck. That's exactly how I opened that message or how I wrote that message. And I was like, I just didn't want you to miss out. And every single person was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, you don't have to write it like super marketing salesy, like, let me let you know that all the things are 30% off, right? You can write it like a human, right? And I think just being, like Jen is saying, like taking ownership or just kind of being, how do I say, like self-deprecating or a little funny about it, I feel like really takes the pressure, because they're like, oh, she's being funny, like, oh, she's a real person. She probably didn't really want to send this to me too, but she felt like she had to. And I don't know, I just feel like that kind of language really goes a long way. And again, makes you seem more human. Like, I know I wanted to send this out to you, but I wasn't sure if I should, but as I just said, what the heck, but that's literally what I said. And they're like, oh, thank you. So just saying, you can be a real person. You don't need to be robotic in your responses. Like talk, like communicate how you would normally communicate. I think that's what people really want. And we have a really good question. Christina, I don't know if you want to answer this one. When people want to know what oil to use for X, Y, and Z, what's the best way to answer that? Is there a good book? She says she has the reference guide, but she wants to make sure she's giving the right advice. What do you recommend?
That's a good one. Honestly, it's changed a lot. I'm still kind of in the mindset of before we switched over, we used like if you've been around for more than a year, you know that the way you got enrolled was through a premium starter kit with 12 oils and a diffuser. And so that made that answer really easy because pretty much those 12 oils really were there would be like if there was something a friend told me that they needed help with, there would be an oil in that kit that would help them. And so I kind of just started with that kit and I was like, hey, you need, XYZ, you have problems with your child with asthma and you need some digestive support and you don't sleep. Look at all these oils in the kit. And that, 5 out of oils would be perfect for them, and then throw in a couple more, and then you've got your kit paid. It's like, so it was such a good deal. And people, I got to where that was all I recommended to people. And I will say now, do what works for you. Do what you know. Teach on what you know. If that's how you enrolled and you fell in love with all those oils and that's what worked for you, then recommend that. You don't have to know all the oils in the desk reference to know that what works. Start with one, and if that doesn't work, move on. And it really just kind of depends on what it is. So did she say she has the desk reference? I didn't see the message. I was looking back for it. So you can, what I've done in the past, sometimes it can be overwhelming depending on the person. You can even like just say, here, this is what my desk reference says. I looked this up for you. And you can send them like the top couple ones on the list and say, this is what I would try if I was having this problem. But teach them what you know, because you'll feel the most confident with that. And they're going to feel your confidence. If you're hesitant and you're like, I don't know, maybe Raven would work, but I've never tried it before, then they're going to feel that, and then they're not going to be as likely to buy it. But if you're like, I had the same problem, I did the same thing, I know this works, or I know someone that's done this, that's used this oil and had amazing results, they're going to be so much more likely to buy. So that's what I would do. Teach them what you know, and then take the time to maybe with each order, grab something new. So that way you can learn and have your own experiences and testimonials with new products. And so by the time, you've been in this business for a couple of years, you've literally tried probably everything that there is, so you can speak to your own experiences. But that does take a little time. So if you haven't made it to that yet, teach them what you know.
Yeah, that's so good. And I would also, so I feel like either the desk or the pocket reference is like a must-have for every builder. It really is such a great tool, whether you're doing in-person classes or when people ask you questions like this. I remember in the beginning, I would like take pictures and send it to people because I was like, I don't know. But now when people ask me, I have, I've been doing this for a little while now, so I have a little bit more knowledge than I did 8 years ago, but I'll say, here's what I do know, like exactly what Christina's saying. I do know it can work for X, Y, and Z. If they say, what oils do I use for this thing that I don't know, I'll be like, you know what? I actually don't know. But here is a reference that I recommend, and I'll send them over to, the pocket reference or the desk reference. There was a website called oiltestimonials.com, and I'll tell you, even now to this day, I will still look up things on there. I'll go in there and I'll sort of look up like, what do I use for, this, and that. But I think as much as you can, really helping people to become their own sort of advocate for looking up information. The thing that I think is really important to add is different oils work for different people. I usually always make sure to preface with that, because otherwise they'll be like, you told me lavender would work for my zit and it didn't work. And it's like, well, different oils work for different people. We're all made up very differently. That's why in the desk reference and in the pocket reference for blemishes, right, it'll be like 20 different oils because of that same reason. The other thing that I often add is, oils can help, but really you're likely going to have to address diet and gut issues. I always say that because everything has a deeper issue, right? Like, I think sometimes we look for the quick fix because we have sort of this view, right? This sort of like pharma view of everything. Like, I need a pill, I need an oil to help fix this, where so much of it is on a deeper level. So I'll be like, what's going on? Have you addressed your gut? Have you looked into enzymes? Have you looked into Life 9? Have you tried Ningxia Red? I'm like, that's the trifecta that I feel like everybody should be on to start to feel well. And what I also say is, we've talked, some of you may know, we've talked about this sort of wellness triangle. And this is a really great way to show people how to order their products. Like on the bottom, it's your supplements, right? Nutritional products. In the middle, it's your ditch and switch, like your makeup and your Thieves cleaner and Thieves dish soap. Oils are at the top, right? It's like a food pyramid, but this is like your wellness pyramid. So the reason why supplements are on the bottom and why you need that's sort of the bulk of your order is your oils are going to work better, okay, when your body is performing more optimally, right? It's just, you can use a car analogy, you can use any other sort of analogy, right? Like when your car is in peak performance, right? You're using the top gas, you know, that's when it's going to perform better, right? Just like our own bodies. And so I feel like when people ask me those things, like, what oil do I use? I'm like, well, let me get to, I'm going to tell you, you know, all the supplements that you need to be doing and some different, then you also need to switch out the chemicals in your home for, you know, Thieves products. Like it's not just the oil is going to fix it, right? The oil may help with some acute needs, right? Like maybe I'm congested, maybe I've got a headache, but really we need to get to the root cause if there's some chronic stuff going on, and supplements are by far going to be the huge, it's like the missing piece, right? We can eat as healthy as we can, but we know this, the soil, you know, the food supply, you know, even if we're getting organic, it's really hard to get the cleanest food. So supplements kind of play that role, that missing key in there, right? To help keep our bodies really healthy. But again, if we're taking our supplements and we're using our oils, but we're still using Clorox bleach and Windex and 409, right? Our oils are not going to work as good when we've got issues going on. It really is like that triangle: supplements, ditch and switch, and then your oils. So a little bit of a longer answer to that, but just making sure, because I remember in the beginning, people would ask me and they would go, well, that didn't work. Well, yeah, if you're still eating, right, like drinking 10 cups of coffee and eating like 24 cookies a day, then yeah, the oil is probably not going to work. But when you start making changes to your diet and ditching and switching, that's going to play a big role too. One more thing I wanted to add to that, because there are hot words. There are hot words. Someone literally just asked me yesterday, what do I do for the Rona? And so I wanted to give you some advice on this. I see Jen's face. I won't touch those with a 10-foot pole. Okay. I won't touch the Rona. I won't touch the C word. Maybe if they're a really close friend and they're at my house, maybe I will, but I'm like, through a communication tool or social media, I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. And there are specific reasons for this. Okay. At least I'm not a doctor. Maybe some of you are, but I'm not a doctor or a healthcare professional. I'm not giving medical advice. Right. So what I told her was, you know, I don't know, but what I can tell you is for my immune system. And so I redirected. Right? Because the thing is we want a really strong immune system. You better load up in your Ningxia Red, your Super C, your Master Formula. I was like, those are the things that I would make sure to load up on. Someone also asked me, I lost my sense of smell. And I said, look, I haven't been through that, so I can't tell you from personal experience, but what I have read is that geranium and lemon might help you. Have you checked out PubMed? So do you see what I'm doing? Like I tell them what I do know, and I tell them what I don't know. And then I usually try to refer them to a third-party resource so that they can go look something up for themselves. You know what I mean? PubMed, the desk reference, you know, oiltestimonials.com. Because the thing is again, I'm not a healthcare professional anyway. So I don't want to be one. I don't want to be liable or compliant under one. I'm just sharing my own personal testimonials, and I haven't had those things. So I'm only sharing what I know. So hopefully that helps someone who might sort of feel like, what do I say when someone asks me something like that? So good. Okay, we have like a minute left. We might be able to answer one or two really quickly.
There's a question here about what to do when you move to a new town and you work in telemarketing, or telework, so you don't really have work. And I know, Jen, you just moved to a new town, didn't you? You moved from Texas to the East Coast. You probably could answer that question really well.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that I'm like being kind when I respond to this, but just like being honest, you guys, like this is a network marketing model and you have to network. And the thing is like, it's not like you have to be out there with your booth and like Young Living and like selling yourself, you know what I mean? Like, but be intentional about putting yourself in situations where you're meeting new people. So when I first moved here and we were in our rental house, it was literally the best street ever. My friend Ashley, that she was like my first friend that I met here, is actually on the call right now. And you guys, like, I never really mentioned Young Living to any of them because I was like, I just want to meet like new friends and I want to have like genuine connections with people. My husband was actually the one that was like, oh, she has a Young Living business. And I was like, like, I felt so awkward because I'm like, honestly, like, you just want to be able to create really good friendships with people, but also like you have to put yourself out there. Like, one, to get new friends, two, to network and grow your business. So just thinking about things like when I take my daughter to her dance class, I meet moms there. When I take her to do something at her school, you know, I meet people there, and I'm not like, hey, here's a sample. Here's a sample. No, it's not like that. Like, but I'm intentional about like, hey, like, do you want to exchange numbers? Like, maybe we can have a play date. And in the back of my head, I'm not thinking like, oh, they're going to sign up for Young Living. But it is a very natural progression where then they start following you on social media, and then they get to see what you're sharing, and they get to see a peek into your life, or they come to your house and they're like, oh, your house smells so good. What is that? And I'm like, oh, I'm diffusing this and this. And then they'll be like, well, like, what, tell me more about that. Like, oh, I've, diffused essential oils before. And so you do have to put yourself out there. Being in a new place, it is hard. It's hard. And especially if you are more introverted, but I think you just get into the mindset, like, I want to have friends here. I want to meet people. I want to grow my business. And, maybe you could look into like your county's like vendor events. I don't know how it is in California right now, if that's like even a thing. But there are a lot of opportunities to like meet new people if you just put yourself out there. And, this sounds really silly, but even just like making a point to compliment people. Like if you're out at a store or anything, I mean, it helps. Like when it's strangers, like look them in the eye and be like, oh my gosh, I love your shoes. Or, like, you look great today, just making a point of having these conversations with people, maybe that you'll never see again, but then it makes those next connections easier with the mom at the park or when you're walking around your neighborhood, so it's hard, but you guys, I can't even tell you how much that I have grown in the 4.5 years with Young Living. I've always been a pretty social person, but the way that I make connections now is a lot different than it was 4 years ago. And it's because I've been so much more intentional about listening to people and trying to get to know people on a level that is so much far past like the surface level, mom friendships that I've had in the past. So just think every day, wake up, how can I network today? Because it honestly does help. If you just look at every situation you're in as an opportunity to make a new friend, you might honestly just meet your best friend, and then they could be the next diamond in your organization. You just never know. So I don't know if that's helpful, you guys, but I have made some of my very best friends here in North Carolina, and I've only been here since February, but it's because I came here with an open heart and the decision that I was going to be open and network and put myself in positions that made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. And now some of them are on our oils team. So like, that's awesome too. So you just never know.
I just was going to add one thing, because just on the off chance that maybe that's not, because everything that Jen said is like spot on, exactly what I do. I love what you said there. And it's not easy to move to a new place and then, less than a year, make close friends. That shows what a, like how hard you worked at that. And that's not an easy thing to do. And so definitely getting out and networking is so important, but also like I've had success as well, like by getting on in Facebook groups and commenting on posts and stuff in there and getting to know people, like responding to people's like comments and stuff and things that jump out at you. And I've literally private messaged so many people behind the scenes in groups, like getting to know people. We're not talking oils, not talking Young Living. Again, just more or less like building like that connection. Like maybe I was just diagnosed with some new thing. So I found all these Facebook groups and I'm private messaging people, getting their advice, asking for help. I'm friending them on Facebook. Now I'm seeing their posts with their kids and liking their stuff. So now we're getting a little more personal. She's seeing my posts and liking my stuff. And it always, like Jen said, it's a natural progression from there because I'm consistent on social media. If something about my life, like she likes that, then she's going to keep seeing my stuff and keep commenting and stuff like that. And I've enrolled a lot of people that way just by being online friends from random Facebook groups that, we've just kind of become friends over the years, and it's a natural progression from there. But I have to be consistent. I have to show up every day on social media as many times, like maybe not every day. I'm not the best at showing up every single day, but at least once a week. And on Facebook, I'm more consistent on Instagram, but like I'm posting regularly. I am not only posting about Young Living, but I'm posting about my life because that's not who I am. My brand is not Young Living. I am Christina Taff, and I have 4 kids. We homeschool, and so I talk about my life. We live a natural lifestyle. So I talk about it all, and oils is in there, but so is everything else. And that will build relationships with people.
Oh, that is so good. And you know what? I was just going to add that I literally just met a friend through the same technique that Christina was talking about. Our family's going to be moving. And so, I mean, talk about like super niche. It's Californians moving to South Carolina. Like there's a group for that. Okay. Like there totally is a group for that. There's a lot of groups of leaving California right now, just FYI. But anyway, we found out we both live, like she literally is like, a couple of miles away from me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we're both moving to the same town in South Carolina. So it was like, oh my gosh, you're going there? I can't believe it. So we became friends and met up at Starbucks. We have similar interests, like even like with the holistic background, we're texting each other now about schools out there. And she was like, I've been watching what you're doing with this Young Living business. She's like, once I get settled, I really want to look into it. So just saying it can totally happen. But if you're not moving, it could be other interests like gardening or like moms of toddlers or whatever your interest is. So on Facebook, it might be joining a Facebook group. And I think especially looking for local ones so you can meet up with local people. But even through like Michelle Jernigan was just posting on Instagram, she'll use hashtags, right? When she's doing posts like toddler mom life, or you could do gardening Southern California, gardening California, like whatever the hashtag is, right? For whatever you're trying to go for, but you can meet people that way too on Instagram with those hashtags. So lots of different opportunities where you could be meeting people. But I love what Jen and Christina was saying. It's really just sort of being intentional. And here's something that I just want to remind you, right? Like focus on meeting people, right? Want to come over for coffee? Do you know why I say that? You cannot walk more than 5 feet in my house without seeing a diffuser or oil, like an oil rack, or my Thieves household cleaner, or like my Christmas super hand soap. Like I have Young Living everywhere in my house. So I love having people at my house. I love hosting not even non-oily related things, but just having people come over. The kids come hang out here. The moms have to pick them. Oh, come on in. Want to come in for a couple of minutes? They see it, they smell it. But even just getting people in your house when you've got the Young Living products there could be a really great way to show people what you do without even really needing to tell them either. So that's great. Okay, you guys, we're about 10 minutes over. You had amazing questions. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and staying with us. Huge shout out to Jen and to Christina for helping us tonight. Thank you so much. And for so many of you who are helping in the chat as well, like Michelle, who are helping to answer questions. You've been awesome. Do you want to have more of this? Do you want to have more brand partner Q&As? This could be really fun to do every month, don't you think? Keep asking those questions. We would love to answer them even after the call. We're so happy to answer them for you. And we'll have more brand partner Q&As coming up. We'll have the replay up shortly. Thank you again for coming. Thank you again, Christina and Jen. Love hearing your perspectives. Amazing leaders. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.